This is Sean O'Malley, and you're watching Full-Time MMA. Don't be a bagel-biting, bagel-bitch boy, bagel-bitch back.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, because you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
What is up, full-time family? It is time for the UFC 228 predictions and breakdown by your boy, Mystic Full-Time MMA. Holy crap, what a night of fights this is likely to be. The main event, I had so much of a hard time picking this fight. Oh, fuck, I didn't want to put the red X on Till's face. I was so close to putting it on Tyron's face, I'm telling you. Oh, this fight is so hard to call. But that even makes just the main event that much better. It is so hard to predict. I don't want to pick against Till. UFC, why are you doing this to me? Fuck, this was supposed to be Kobe getting his ass whooped tonight, potentially. But he had sinusitis or something that he learned probably from his teammate Amanda Nunes, and he used it to duck his motherfucking taco at UFC 228. So the UFC needed a main event. They call on Darren Till. We didn't really expect this. Came out of left field, but now Darren Till is here, and he's trying to take the title from Tyron Woodley. Of course, he's going to say yes to the opportunity. That's how we got this main event. That's the welterweight title fight in the main event. But of course, we've got the co-main event, the female flyweight title, as the queen, Valentina Shevchenko, is looking to take her crown from the current placeholder paper champion, Nico Montano. Now, Nico Montano earned her title, you know, sort of on the tough house. You know what I'm saying? She didn't beat the number one contender in that type of way, but the UFC made the tough house, and the winner got the belt, and that's what Nico Montano is. And it just so happens in her first title defense, she's got to take on one of the pound-for-pound best female fighters on the planet, and this just really reminds me of when Carla Esparza had to take on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. You know, she won her belt from the tough house. Joanna had to come through and take that thing from her, and she reigned as the champion for a while. Now this could be Valentina Shevchenko's path in the flyweight division. Now, I know a lot of people aren't surprised by my prediction in that fight, but of course we're going to break that down a little later. Let's start with the beginning of the cards. You guys can see I'm picking Zabit Magomedsharipov to beat not Yair Rodriguez, because we don't know who it is. All we know is it is not Yair Rodriguez. That's who Zabit was originally scheduled to face, but Yair seems to be ducking his taco. Not gonna lie, the reason it seems like that is he's been reluctant for this fight in the past. Dana White announced this fight for UFC 227. He said Yair Rodriguez put hashtag fake news, got kicked out the UFC, came back. Dana White hashtag real news, you know, seemed to take that personal. Now he's back fighting Zabit, and of course he gets fucking injured. So now Yair's not in the fight. We still don't have a replacement. There have been multiple people that have offered to step up, so we should still see Zabit on this card, because we have seen John Lineker as well as a few other fighters that have threw their name in the hat to fight Zabit Magomedsharipov and potentially save this fight. Now, John Lineker got shut down, so that's unfortunate, but even the thing about that is, if they're turning John Lineker down, at least there's people that are offering, so we should still get to see Zabit, unless the UFC decides to pull him off the card, which I don't see why they would do that. You know what I'm saying? Just to fucking try and match Zabit up with Yair, that would be unfortunate. I'm sure we all just want to see Zabit fight. He's a great fighter. He was one of the parts of why this fight was going to be so great against Yair, but he's got a super entertaining style regardless. His last fight with Kyle Bochniak, super entertaining. So whoever the UFC gets, whether it's someone on short notice, someone outside the UFC, even if it's John Lineker, I would love to see Zabit stay on this card, and hopefully he does. And I'm picking him to win the fight against whoever's stepping up to try and fight Zabit Magomedsharipov on short notice. Are you crazy? But let's move on, because we don't necessarily know who his opponent's going to be, so we can't break it down too much. But I got Zabit, man. Moving on, we got Suarez versus Esparza to kick off the UFC 228 pay-per-view, as far as, and that's another thing that might be subject to change. By the way, Zabit, since he's not fighting Yair, might get moved to like the prelims, you know, like the Fox prelims, since it's not as big of a fight, we do have a fight like John Dodson versus Jimmy Rivera on the prelims that could get bumped up to the pay-per-view. That's a great fight. We've got a few good fights on the prelims, which we actually did break down already over on Patreon at the Full-Time MMA Dojo. So if you want to see who I picked out of Dodson and Rivera, spoiler alert, and I'll tell you guys just because it might get moved up to the main card, I picked Dodson, and I got good reason. You guys know your boy Mystic Full-Time ain't just fucking around on these predictions. Predictions so hot they will get you shadow banned. Not fucking joking. But it is what it is. So you can check those out over at fulltimemma.com/ I'm lying. I don't have my own website yet. I'm broke. But you can check those out at patreon.com/fulltimemma. Not only you can check out my prelim breakdown and predictions, you can also check out our betting advice we've got over there that we had to take off of YouTube because we're trying to get unshadow banned, family. So yeah, let's break down Esparza versus Suarez. This is a fight, man. I really think Carla Esparza is a little bit underrated. She's a great fighter. Shit, she could be on a 4-fight winning streak, as her last 2 losses both came by way of split decision, I believe. And most recently, it was a clear robbery in my mind against Claudia Gadelha. But hey, it is what it is. This fight, I don't think is going to be a robbery because Tatiana Suarez is a great wrestler, and she's really been able to ragdoll most of her opponents in the UFC. Most recently, submitting Alexa Grasso in the first round. Carla Esparza was the inaugural 115-pound champion, and actually she's been looking great as of late. She could be on a 3 or 4 fight winning streak if she wasn't robbed in her last fight against Claudia Gadelha, but she actually has wins over Marna Moreau, Cynthia Calvillo, and before that, actually Esparza's only losses in the UFC were split decisions. Aside from her loss to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she's really a tough fighter and, in my opinion, very underrated, but I'm going to give the edge to Tatiana Suarez, who has great wrestling, and she's showcased that. You know, she was under the radar a little bit before her last fight where she fought Alexa Grasso, but now everybody knows who Tatiana Suarez is, and she's probably got the best wrestling in the strawweight division, like barring who? Jessica Andrade, who's a fucking beast, but I mean, I would still like to see that fight. Tatiana Suarez is a new name. She's still undefeated at only 7-0, and she's making her way up. And I think she's going to do more of that at UFC 228 and potentially win this fight with her grappling. But like I said, Esparza very underrated, and people have counted her out in the past. She'll find a way to get the win. She was robbed in her most recent fight in my mind, but she's been looking great. So this is going to be a better fight. If you're just counting Carla Esparza all the way out, I think this is going to be a better fight than you think. But I'm still going to give a slight edge to Suarez. But yeah, I don't know if that would be as much of an upset as some of these other fights in my mind. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll break down. We got 3 WMMA fights on the pay-per-view. The next one, of course, Jessica Andrade versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz, likely a title eliminator at strawweight as we wait on Rose Namajunas' injury. And Rose Namajunas, actually right now, she's just taking a little time off. She said, I figured this would be a good time. There's not really any clear-cut #1 contenders to heal up, you know? And she's also a new champion. Usually when champions get that belt, a lot of the time, they take a little time, you know, in between their fights, just because. I don't know if they're getting more money. Probably they are, you could imagine. And so they probably end up moving to a new house and all type of shit. They want to spend a little money before they fucking rush back into the grind of trying to defend that belt. So it is what it is. Rose Namajunas has a neck injury she's healing up from. And in the meantime, in between time, Jessica Andrade is going to be defending her #1 contendership as she's been doing. Jessica Andrade is a dog. She earned the nickname Mini Cyborg with a dominant performance over Claudia Gadelha, but most recently she beat Tisha Torres in another unanimous decision, which I believe she earned 10 takedowns. In my mind, Andrade has already earned her title shot, but Rose Namajunas, like I said, taking a little bit of time off, healing up some injuries, and so unless Andrade wants to wait until Thug Rose is ready to return, she's got to keep defending this #1 contender spot, which I think she'll actually be able to do against Karolina Kowalkiewicz, the Polish cowgirl. I call her that because I just get the sense from Karolina that she's down to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. She's not a girl that's going to turn down a fight, even if it's against a tough challenge like she has in Jessica Andrade. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a former title challenger and actually one of the best strikers in the strawweight division. She did lose a first-round submission to Claudia Gadelha, who we saw Jessica Andrade woman handle, but Karolina Kowalkiewicz has a win over the current champion Rose Namajunas, a split decision. Now, she did lose to Joanna, but she had some success standing up. and she clipped Joanna one time. Of course, Joanna outstruck her in total and won the fight. But Karolina Kowalkiewicz, still one of the best strawweight strikers in the world. And we saw Joanna Jędrzejczyk actually have success against Jessica Andrade, so she is beatable. You know, even though she's mini cyborg, we did see Joanna have some success. So at least we've seen her look human. We've seen her beatable. But I don't know if Karolina Kowalkiewicz is going to have the same takedown defense as Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So I think Jessica Andrade will be able to get this fight to the ground where she can either grind Karolina Kowalkiewicz out or find the submission. Also, I don't really see Karolina Kowalkiewicz finding a submission when she gets put on her back. So I think this is Jessica Andrade's fight to lose, but still a great fight. I'm always interested in a Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight because she's always down to fight. She's got no fucking quit in her. She's going to be in there regardless of the monster staring across the cage from her. And the number one contender in my mind, Jessica Andrade. Now, of course, in the rankings, I think Andrade is number 2 because you got Joanna up there. But Joanna's already got 2 title fights, so it's not like she's going to be getting the next title shot. Whoever wins this fight, Jessica Andrade already number 1 contender in my mind. If she wins this, solidifies it. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, if she beats Jessica Andrade, then she has a split decision win over the current champion, Rose Namajunas, and that could be a fight we see. Maybe Rose Namajunas, if Karolina wins this fight, will want to get that win back over Karolina. I could for sure see that happening. So the winner of this fight likely will be taking on Rose Namajunas sometime later this year. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it was in Madison Square Garden, co-main event or something. Or I don't know, we heard about Diaz Poirier, but I mean, Rose has some history in New York, so wherever it goes down, either way, we'll be watching. And maybe even the end of the year, co-main event to like Cyborg versus Nunes. You could have like mini Cyborg fighting for the title and big Cyborg defending her title, you know, some shit like that. So the winner of this fight, in my mind, definitely fights for the title. I'm taking Andrade to get the win. Moving on, I mean, we got Nico Montano versus Valentina Shevchenko. I literally took one sentence of notes for this fight. It says, come the fuck on. Kaufman, Nunes twice, Holly Holm, Juliana Pena. Enough said. Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best female fighters on the planet, and she's got a record of 15-3, 6 fights in the UFC. She's taking on Nico Montano, who's got 1 fight in the UFC, 7 total pro fights. She's 5-2. Valentina Shevchenko almost has more fights in the UFC than Nico Montano has pro. She's coming for her crown. If Nico wins this, in my mind, is for sure the biggest upset of the night, maybe biggest upset of the year. I just don't see it. Valentina Shevchenko walked through the likes of Holly Holm at bantamweight. She out-grappled the fucking Venezuelan vixen Juliana Pena. She fought 2 fucking close-ass fights with the bantamweight queen Amanda Nunes. Like, she is one of the best fighters on the planet, and she can actually even make 125 pounds. She was one of the best 135-pound fighters on the planet, and she could make 125 the whole time. Are you kidding me? Shevchenko, it's not fucking close, man. I would almost be willing to bet the fucking house. If I had a house to bet, I would probably put that shit on the line for this fight. Shevchenko, like this, what is Nico Montano gonna do? Knock her out? I guess like that's her puncher's chance. She's not gonna win a decision. She's not gonna just outstrike Shevchenko. She's not even known for her submission game. So like, her only path to victory here is to knock out Valentina Shevchenko, and if she does that, she will shock the fucking world. She will shock the world. But there's no way you can pick Montano to win this fight unless you're related to her, you know, or you're biased as fuck. That's the only way. There's no way you look at Valentina Shevchenko and say, oh yeah, I saw a hole in her game that Montano is going to capitalize on. So me, like you, probably like everybody else, is picking Valentina Shevchenko to win this fight. The question is, does she finish it early, or does she put a Priscilla Cachoeira type beating on the champion Nico Montano? That's the question. But yeah, either way, Shevchenko with the W. Not much to break down there. And then the main event, Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till, UFC 228 main event. Oh, I wish my boy Till didn't get thrown to the wolves like this. Not the way that it happened. I'm cool. You know, Darren Till's one of the best in the world. He did beat Wonder Boy. It was, you know, some people would say. Some people don't agree with that. He did beat. There's not really much places to go but up from where he's at. Maybe 1 or 2 more fights. But my thing is, Yeah, I just don't know right now. I think Darren Till, give him 1 more year, maybe even. He might have been ready for Woodley. I think Darren Till could beat Woodley, but I don't know if he's going to get it done today, here and now at UFC 228, the way he was thrown into this fight. Somewhat short notice. Can he make the weight? Is the weight cut going to affect him? I know he had a family emergency that hurt his weight cut, but at the same damn time, I mean, is that just an excuse? I mean, it has been confirmed by other people. I believe the UFC bought it like, no, yeah, he did have to go to the hospital, but there's been video that came out where he looked like he fucking went partially blind cutting that weight. It's not his first time he's had weight cutting issues. I mean, so coming off of that missing weight, and did he even beat Wonder Boy? A lot of people had that fight for Wonder Boy. Nobody really looked at the Tyron Woodley fights and scored those for Wonder Boy. You might have scored it a draw because you don't like Woodley, but there's no one that really picked Wonder Boy to win those fights. Woodley won those. So if you look at their common opponent, Woodley's beat Wonder Boy. And that was before there was even really a blueprint to do it. Darren Till was able to go watch Tyron Woodley fight Wonder Boy for 50 minutes of tape, film study. He can watch all 5 rounds. Both of those fights went 5 rounds. 5 rounds of film study in each fight. That's 25 minutes per round. He had almost an hour worth of film study on how to beat Wonder Boy. And you know he used it because he didn't come in there reckless. He fought smart, kind of like who? Tyron Woodley. Before that, Darren Till, we looked at him as an aggressive fighter. We didn't think he was going to come in there and try and fight smart to try and win a decision from Wonder Boy. He thought he was going to come in there and try and shock the world and earn the title shot and take over and potentially try and knock Wonder Boy out, and he might have got caught in the process. But he fought smart because we saw that's how you beat him when we saw Tyron Woodley beat Wonder Boy. So he had that 50 minutes of film study, and you could still argue that Tyron Woodley did better against Wonder Boy than Darren Till was able to do. There was a lot more people, even though people don't like Woodley, there wasn't many people saying, oh, that was a robbery. There wasn't a lot of people saying that was a robbery. There was a lot more people saying Till Wonder Boy was a robbery. So in my mind, Wonder Boy did better against Till than he did against Woodley. And that was, so say what you want about that. I know that doesn't mean he's guaranteed to win the fight, but Woodley's a beast. You might not like him. You might not like his TMZ gig. You might think he complains. You might think he race baits, but you got to put some respect on his skills. Torn labrum. Whether you think that's an excuse or not, he had the torn labrum, he got the surgery, whatever. He was able to defend every single takedown Damian Maia tried. Damian Maia's not a guy that really even needs takedowns. He'll try and get on your fucking back and ride you like a backpack and hold on to you and try and win that way, like we saw him do against Masvidal. He wasn't able to do any of that against Woodley. Wonder Boy wasn't able to. We saw, you can say his last 2 fights were boring. I get it. You might not like watching his fights, but Tyron Woodley's still a beast. He's still hard to figure out. He's still a very smart fighter, explosive fighter. He's got great wrestling. He's well-rounded. So, Tyron Woodley, I'm gonna put some respect on his name, man. I'm a big fan of Till, and I was all aboard. I picked Till to beat Cerrone before people even knew who Till was. I did the research. I'm up on. I even picked Till to beat Wonder Boy. Hear me out. Hear me out. I picked Till to beat Cerrone, and I picked Till to beat Wonder Boy, unlike a lot of other people. And I'm not picking him to beat Woodley. It's your boy Mystic Full-Time. I'm giving the edge to Tyron Woodley. These are my breakdowns, my predictions. We'll see what happens. Like I said, man, it is what it is. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. My boy Forward, I know you're going crazy with the Gorilla Smash and the Booger Bash 2018. I know you can't wait for Darren Till to knock Tyron Woodley out. I know a lot of people probably want to see that shit happen. Hell, I almost want to see that shit happen just because it's almost time for Woodley to be the fuck up out of there. Not because I want it or anything. I just think it's almost time. What is he, like 35, 36? I'm just saying. I mean, we got some killers coming up now. Till, even if he loses this fight, give him 1-2 more years. He might come back and win the rematch. You got Usman coming up. You got Covington out here. You got some fucking welterweights, maybe the new breed, the new champion somewhere around here in the top 10. Who knows? But will Woodley lose his belt at UFC 228? We will see. I think he might have 1 or 2 more. Who knows? Maybe 3 more before he's out of there. Father Time loses to no man. But I don't think Woodley will be losing to Till in the main event. So let me know if you agree or disagree. These are my predictions. It is what it is. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. And make sure you check out the full fight card predictions at the Full-Time MMA Dojo if you're interested in those. Of course, that's also a great way to check out betting advice or even help support the channel if you're into that as we go through this shadow ban. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. Now I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOG.